What's up, Photogs? This is Chris Porter with uSuckAtPhotography, but not for long. In my previous video, which you can find right here, we discussed how your ISO can get you dough. And in that video, we discussed how to adjust the ISO. We discussed how it looks when you adjust the ISO, and we discussed what it can do for you. But I did get a couple of comments, and they were saying, oh, you know, I need to tell a couple other things about the ISO. So that's what I'm gonna do in this video. Okay, in this video, I'm going to discuss when to use the ISO. We're also going to discuss what the ISO actually does in effect as far as affecting your pictures. Basically, we're going to discuss the good and the bad of the ISO.
A good question that I've gotten is when to use the ISO. And the ISO is to be used in really low light situations. So when we're dealing with low light, such as weddings, parties, any kind of even natural light pictures. When I say natural light, I mean outside, where you're not getting in your total light. Even Christmas lights, the ISO can be a really effective tool. Now we're dealing with ISO in the newer cameras. It's not as bad at the 500, 800 ranges. I mean, you really won't get a noticeable difference, especially when you're publishing your images to the web. They're not as bad. But with some of the older cameras, the noise is really dramatic. What I've done here is I went to Google and I Googled ISO noise so I could just show you a little bit more dramatic difference than some of the images that I have. And I found one here that I really think that you would get a good education out of on it. Look at it, ISO 100. Real clean, and you really start to notice the grain in some of the darker places on the images. Like check out here and then check out here. This is 6400, real top of the line camera, of course, that goes up to 6400. Most of them now go up to 1600 and 3200, but look at the grain here and between the 100 and the 3200. But used effectively, the ISO can really make your images look better. For instance, on this image I'm showing you here, I'm at 3.5 1/50th of a second. With the lens that I'm using, I can't go lower than a 3.5 on this image. At 1/50th of a second, if I go to like 1/40th, 1/30th, then I'm really subject to a lot of camera shake at that point. So the only thing that I can do is take this ISO up to a little bit higher ISO to get a better image. And look how much it lightens it up at 320. Now I know for a fact that this client is not going to blow this image up bigger than an 8x10. So with this client, they won't get much noticeable noise on this at 8x10. And this image, the same thing. I'm at 4.0 1/100th of a second, and I still want the image to be sharp. So I'm at ISO 200, so I boosted up to 250, just a little bit more pop in it. And here I'm at ISO 500, 6.3 1/200th of a second, and I just want a certain look of the image. I want the image to a lot of contrast, and this is all natural light. This light right here is coming from this like this special kind of window that they had in this building. Same thing there. And here's a shot that I wanted the ambiance of the entire room. I didn't want like any other light because I like the light coming from this window. I like the way the light rimmed around her. So with this I'm at what, 1000 1/60th of a second, and this, to me, this is a really good image. Of course I'm gonna do some post processing on it, increase some more light, and just make the image really pop. Same here, I'm at 1250. Natural light coming through. It's kind of evening time. Still getting some good light in. And even in this image, ISO 100, very clean, but not enough light, so I take it up to 320. All I'm saying is don't be afraid to use your ISO because of noise, but at the same time use it sparingly when the other two settings won't allow you the kind of light that you need in. I've also heard a product called Noise Ninja is a really good product to use. I haven't used it myself because I don't use I don't do a lot of images where it's needed. But if you really need to boost that ISO and you want to clean it up a little bit, Noise Ninja, I heard, is a really good product. I'm going to finish this off with a couple of questions I had from some readers. Stephen S. said, That's good simple info on the ISO settings, but what settings would I use when shooting a concert in a small venue where no flashes are allowed? Okay, Stephen, when you're doing small venues like churches, concerts, any kind of party where they won't let you, like a bar mitzvah or something like that, where they won't let you use um, your flash, in my opinion, either you should borrow or rent a really good fast lens. And when I say a fast lens, I mean a lens that stops down to like a 1.5, I'm sorry, 1.4 or a 2.8. Those kind of lenses on a typical basis will let an enormous amount of light in without giving a lot of distortion. Those kind of lenses in combination with a decent amount of ISO will yield really, really good pictures. A good one to start out with is the Nifty 50, which is a 50mm fixed lens. The 85mm fixed lens, which the 85, I think it goes down to 1.8 also. And a really good one is the 70-200, the 70-200 lens. The 70-200 stops down to 2.8. With 70, you have to be a little bit further away from the subject, but you end up getting really, really clear, sharp pictures in low light situations. In a handheld situation, I can normally hold my camera at right around 1/50th of a second and not get too much handshake. And depending on what lens you have, put your f-stop at the lowest it can go. With like a kit lens, you're looking at normally right around 3.5, but if you extend it out, it goes up to like a 5.0. Okay, the next question we're going to answer is from Divine Fashion CO1. And she basically wants to know, if her ISO only goes up to 1600, do I think she should invest in a new camera? And this is kind of like a double-sided sword question, if you want to call it that. Basically, if she's shooting a lot of low light situations, a lot of situations where she's going to be in concerts and weddings and stuff like that, it may behoove her to invest in a camera that can get a higher ISO with less noise. But to me, I think her best money will come from investing in better lenses that can stop down further to, like I said, the 2.8s, the 1.8s, the 1.4s, the 1.2s. Those lenses are a lot faster and they'll give her better, sharper images. But sometimes the lenses themselves can cost just as much as those cameras.
Now, what I want you to do is I want you to get out there and start playing with some of those low light situations. I want you to light a candle. I want you to get a light bulb. I want you to even have maybe like some window light. And I want you to get out there and start adjusting that ISO. I want you to get out of automatic. I want you to start putting the camera in manual. I want you to flip it into manual, put the f-stop on something really low, and then adjust the speed maybe to 1/100th of a second. And if that's not where you need to be, kick that ISO up a little bit and bring some of that natural light in. You get a little grain, but in the end, I don't think any of y'all are blowing your images up to billboards. If you are, I would love to see that. All right, I hope I've answered some of the questions that you have about ISO. If not, just keep shooting me those emails. Just let me know exactly what you want to know. Make sure you look out for my new product coming out, which is uSuckAtPhotography's Guide to Your First Week of Photography. I don't like to create this stuff in a vacuum. I like to know exactly what you want in it. So just keep shooting me those questions and I'll make sure that this product is tailored to what you want. Exactly what you need. Exactly what you want to do with photography. With that said, I really appreciate you looking at the video. Thanks a lot.